On the street, on the air. You're listening to Kaya Biz here on Kaya 959. Well, we shift gears now to a conversation that is proven to be quite pertinent for anyone who's an entrepreneur. And when we mention an entrepreneur, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be running a large conglomerate with thousands of people within your employ. But even for those who might be starting out, medium entities, and even for South Africans who still might be playing with the idea of a side hustle that has actually generated great levels of revenue and income for them. Have you ever considered insurance? The case for business and personal insurance for SME founders as well as side hustlers. Well, you might think you have everything covered. You're on a roll. Nothing can stop you now. The world is open and you can continue operating. But remember 2020? The truth is anything in life can happen and risks do remain. So we join on the line today by the Divisional Executive for Retail Solutions at Liberty, Nalen Naidoo, to give us some insight into some of the insurance considerations that entrepreneurs, SMMEs and side hustlers need to take into consideration, especially in light of the repercussions we felt post the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, to tell us more, Nalen, good to have you with us on the line. Thank you for your time.
Oh, Google, fantastic to be here with you and with your listeners. Yes, definitely a highly pertinent topic. I think you've done the introduction fantastically well. How do they protect their cash flow? How do they keep their businesses afloat when something unthinkable happens?
Definitely.
There's two types of insurance, or there's two types of solutions out there. Most entrepreneurs probably think about the most obvious one. That's short-term insurance. This is cover for their assets in their business, with things like their stock, or if they own buildings, or sometimes they can even protect some of their contracts. That's short-term insurance, and obviously they can go and, most business owners will go and speak to a broker and sort that out. The piece that many entrepreneurs and business owners often forget is the life and the health side of things. And here, a company like Liberty and other insurers, we can provide solutions to these individuals, whether they're individual entrepreneurs or groups of entrepreneurs. We can cover various aspects around things like business continuity. So if you pass away and get ill, what happens to your business? You can cover estate planning, trust planning, tax planning. This life and health element is often forgotten by entrepreneurs out there.
And maybe let's distill into those, right? Because I guess the first question an entrepreneur would have to ask themselves is just how, I guess, at risk or what's the risk of my business and what is it that I need to cover? Because many might think, oh, well, I'm young, so I might pass away, sure, but I plan on living quite a long time, and then life happens. So I guess distill for us some of the considerations entrepreneurs need to take into mind when deciding on the kind of risk cover that they need to take on.
Yeah. So definitely, and especially when it's new and fresh. I mean, as you said, the excitement is there. I mean, you are charging ahead and lots. I mean, you're working so hard on a daily basis. This is the last thing that you think about. But maybe some of the things to think about. So first up, have you actually looked after yourself? So in your individual capacity, forgetting about the business, do you have enough personal cover? If something happens to you, if you get hurt, if you get, unfortunately, a severe illness, if you pass on, is your family protected if you have a young family? And there, the companies like Liberty, I mean, we have life insurance products for that. Our flagship product is called Lifestyle Protector, so you can cover your personal income, personal outcomes. But really, I mean, even once you protected yourself, now let's talk a little bit about the business. So what aspects of the business do you have solutions for? So if you're an individual entrepreneur, so single person operation, if you hold existing life cover, companies like ours will offer you something called overhead expenses cover. Now this is quite important. This allows you to, in the event of you not being able to work, you get to still pay your staff salaries and other expenses like rent, and you can go up to 24 months. If you are ill or unable to work. Gotcha. And that is a lifeblood for your partners, for your staff members, especially since most entrepreneurs are so present and so active in their communities when they're employing people from around them. And so this overhead expenses cover, if you're a single man operation or single person operation, allows you to then cover some of that on an ongoing basis.
Got you.
It does get a little bit trickier there, Gugu, if you're more than one person. So if you're a multi-entrepreneur, multi-owner operation. But even then, we have something called business assurance solutions. These business assurance solutions are built specifically for these multi-owner, multi-entrepreneur multi-entrepreneur businesses. It does get quite technical. We do often ask our clients to make sure they've got financial advisors and brokers that they're speaking to. Some of the examples of the business assurance solutions that you might find interesting and maybe use. One is something we call key person, so key person insurance.
Yes.
If someone is crucial and critical in the business,
like a CEO, CFO, someone who knows about the strategy, help build the strategy. So I'm assuming those kind of individuals, right, who are quite core to the operations of the entity. 100%.
So even owners. Even some of the owners are also essential there. And some people, as we all know from personal experience, the key people in the business are not always the most senior people. There are people that hold the institutional knowledge. There are people that sit within core functions within your enterprise, whether it's small or large. So those key people, if they're not there, massive pain can be felt in that business. And so this life cover allows you to provide a little bit of a buffer. So in the absence of this person, you can either train up a new person or hire someone else, or even actually enough money to invest in process changes, so systems and things like that, so that the impact of this person is not there. 100%. You got it exactly right in terms of who that key person could be.
Got you. And what I'm learning from this, Nalen, is that it really needs us to actually take a step back from the business and really question the operations, the key players within the organization, the strategy that's being rolled out, the structure of our business as well, whether it's a sole proprietorship or a partnership or a large private entity that has multiple individuals who are key to its operations. And earlier you mentioned the importance of brokers and financial advisors. And I'm keen to ask, for someone who might be thinking and encouraged by this conversation today, they might be looking to take on this kind of insurance, but what key questions or key information should they likely share with their broker or financial planner to make sure that they're on the right path?
Well, so I think if we think about what we're covering here, we're covering the impact of somebody getting ill or somebody getting passing away on the business. So we've spoken about key person. There are also opportunities to sell shareholdings within the business if one of the partners fall away. There's opportunities to protect loans when partners or owners stand surety for the debt of the business. So the question the financial advisor will be asking will be things like, what do you think about your current health? And then are there any present health challenges that could ultimately affect your business or your ability to keep working? Another important question is, who do you trust? So who are the people that you trust to run your business in the event of this absence? Who would you nominate as that key person or your potential successor? Do you have the processes? Do you have the policies? Do you have investments in place, not just to protect your family, which most people can think about, but to preserve the legacy of your business so that it can keep running? And then a financial advisor can really add value in the tough times. So we know being a business owner is not easy. And there are times when you are under significant pressure from a cash flow perspective. Financial advisors can help you work out if you need to prioritize from a policy ownership perspective or from a cash flow perspective, which policy should you be prioritizing when money is tight, so that you don't give up on some of the really important benefits down the line and find yourself in a bit of hot water down the line. So financial advisor who grows with you over time, who understands your business and helps you as you grow is exactly the person that can take this information and turn it into a solution.
Very true. Individuals who are qualified and educated within that space to really help you in terms of reaching your financial goals and objectives, no matter how long the journey might take. If you've just joined us, you're listening to Kaya Biz here on Kaya 959. We are in conversation with Nalen Naidoo, Divisional Executive for Retail Solutions at Liberty. And we are discussing some very key insights for you as entrepreneurs, business owners, individuals even with a side hustle. But essentially, if your business operations rely on you, it's all good and well to ensure your physical items and your equipment, the car, the laptop, the tools. But what about yourself and the other individuals who are so key to running your operations? Because we're well aware that disability, death, and just being incapacitated is something that can potentially happen. And we need to make sure that despite that loss, the business and organization itself can continue running. Your family and your partners, in terms of your business operations, can continue operating, and there is great sustainability there. And Nalen, I'm keen because much of the insight you've shared with us is very very practical and we can learn from it. And you've empowered us to have these conversations with our financial planners. But I am sure there are some great lessons and insight that Liberty has to share following some research that you've done. If one does consider the last 2 years, what are the realities on the ground regarding the lack of business insurance, business assurance, and key man insurance policies that individuals have? What have your insights shown you?
Yeah, thanks, Sue. Look, I mean, I think the broader environment is so important there. We've identified some trends. We've identified some sort of key customer insights that have helped us understand what is going on in this market. I think for one, we've identified the trend of what we're calling shrinkflation, which is effectively inflation continues, income definitely not keeping pace, and people are finding themselves squeezed. So money is tight, and so choosing judiciously which policies or where you put that money is really important to maximize it.
I can imagine, Nalen, it's either a full tank of petrol or paying for my insurance. It can get tough, huh?
Well, and unfortunately, who knows how much more expensive that price is going to go. Exactly. And then the other one is minding the gap. I mean, we've come across this trend that consumers are referring to as mind the gap, and this is the future gap. This is the gap that people are not going to have enough cover and are not going to have enough of the protection they need to allow themselves to grow into the future. So those two trends of shrinkflation and mind the gap, when we started applying it to entrepreneur mindset, we realized, again, that they are absolutely essential, the lifeblood of the South African economy in terms of what they do and the impacts they have in their communities, but that it's really tough. Keeping their business afloat is really, really important. And as I said, most people focus on the short-term insurance side of things, but forget completely about the longer-term side of their business. So the long-term insurance and health, life and health side of their businesses.
Very true. And I think that's quite critical because, as you say, we get caught up in the short-termism and not necessarily looking at the long-term impact and effect there. What I'm also keen to understand, Nalen, as you say, is that, again, it's important to develop a tailor-made solution because a business is not just a business, right? So I guess for whether one is a sole proprietor or one is within a partnership or a private entity, one does need to work on having a bespoke solution. But how do you craft that, and what are the unique needs that one does need to evaluate?
Yeah. So look, I mean, if we use an example, I mean, a great example might be looking at one of the types of solutions that we offer. So let's talk about this thing called the buy and sell solution. Now a buy and sell policy is where there are multiple partners or owners in a business, and they buy life cover on each other. Right? And the reason they buy life cover on each other is so that if anything happens to that particular person or anything happens to a partner, the other partners, the surviving partners or surviving owners, can effectively buy out the partner that passed away.
Got you. So instead of...
Sorry,
I was just going to say, instead of increasing the risk factor of the deceased business partner's spouse or child or alternative relative coming on board and saying, hold on, it's my husband's company, so I've got a say in this.
Exactly. You get to protect against third-party interests, as you said, the wind-up of the deceased estate, so the family is protected. A whole bunch of positive things arise from this particular policy. And back to your point then about how would we even know any of this? And again, it speaks to, it's such a unique situation. I mean, you have to know, you have to have a qualified person to have a chat with the owners of the business to work out, okay, well, first of all, what's the value of your business? Secondly, how do we keep that value updated year on year? How do we keep the buy and sell policy values, the life cover values updated? And then, if the unthinkable happens, how do we make sure that all of this happens as quickly as possible so that both the business can continue and the person who's passed away, their family, can, won't have to be sort of worried about how the estate, how long it takes to wind up the estate. Yeah. And exactly in the other policies we discussed, key person, contingent liability, overhead expenses. It requires a fair amount of bespoke tailoring. There's also a lot of many opportunities here to save from a tax, state duty perspective. If you structure these things appropriately, you can avoid unintended consequences, as I said, on the estate. So very, very bespoke structures can be put together depending on what the entrepreneur's unique needs are.
Got you. One question that entrepreneurs might be thinking, Nalen, and I know it's a difficult one to respond to, and there is no clear answer actually, is the cost. But I think you've substantiated that there's a lot of value to it. So if someone gets caught up in crunching the numbers, how do they offset that with fully unpacking the value that it actually offers?
Yeah, look, really, and such an important question, especially given the toughness at the moment of the environment. And this is the prioritization call. This is really in a business, you have to make many decisions on a weekly, hourly, daily, weekly, and then monthly basis. And I think the calls around which of your expenses you choose to cancel and which ones you view as important, there's never a right answer to that. The benefits of it are significant, but I understand that the cost pressures are significant as well. Often, the financial advisors that I described, the ones that are sort of growing with you, they're connected with you as an entrepreneur, and resonate with you, have developed this long-term relationship, and then grows with you as your business evolves. These are the people that can actually help you make those prioritization calls. They can help you work out in all the expenses that you need to incur, which are the ones that perhaps you can sort of for this month kick to touch, and then which ones which ones should you keep going because the consequences of keeping them to touch is going to be too severe.
Got you on that. Nalen, thank you so much. You've really helped educate us on a very important aspect of operating as economic participants of the world, right? Entrepreneurs, side hustlers, business partners, sole proprietors. It is imperative that one does make sure that you look at the various types of business interruption insurance claims, business assurance as well, which is important for the individuals, the live bodies, the brains and the minds that essentially run and lead the companies that we look to build. Thank you so much for your time this evening, Nalen. Really appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lulu. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Take care. That's Nalen Naidoo, Divisional Executive for Retail Solutions at Liberty.